Yeah, we're speaking about during the lifetime of Martin Luther King. You know the incident that taking place in Selma there, and as soon as they had got Jim Clark out, well, they elected a black sheriff, and he put on three blacks and two white deputies. I mean, he mixed it up. So their conditions in Selma are much better now for blacks than they were at that time. But coming back to the mountains, the clans have always used the fear to strike into people in the mountains. But the clan in the mountains were used to intimidate United Mine Workers. But some of the clan joined United Mine Workers because they were working under the same condition that the black men were. Now, what I mean is this: the rich white used the poor whites to intimidate the poor blacks. But when the poor whites seen that their condition couldn't be better unless they joined the black, so they joined, and they helped fought to get United Mine Workers, as same as we. You don't know who the Klan is. Your Klan could be working in a place right side of you. You don't know. They had masses over their head, and a Klan could be anybody. A Klansman could be a physician. He could be a banker, and sometimes I guess that did exist. And a grocery store owner, because it was all a one-sided thing at that time, and that was the relationship between the black man and the white woman. This is one of the things that they would intimidate you for and about. But it came about just keeping you down and striking fear into you, like the gun thugs. That was clandestine, to have men come in and beat you up, and sometimes they would burn crosses. That was in ornaments to frighten you and let you know that if you had anything to do with United Mine Workers, what would happen to you. But as I said, some of these men who belonged to the Klan, poor whites, when they found out and read the literature of United Mine Workers, they started to help organizing too. And Klan still exists in the mountains, because any time that blacks decide to get together or try to do something that the white man don't want in the mountains, they'll burn him out.
What kinds of things might that have been?
Well, if they put up a business in the mountains and the white man won't in, if he can't get in, then they will get the Klan ban and they will fix ways of eliminating you. Now, we had one black coal operator in the mountains, and that was, he was a member of my congregation. I used to pastor Friendship, Cumberland, Kentucky. That was over in the Lynch area. Troy Peavy, he had about 5 trucks, and he operated a mine back up, I think, close to Irving Fort, where his brother was killed in that explosion. And not too long ago, they burned up all of his trucks. After burning crosses and giving him threats and everything, they just decided they'd burn him out. And I think now he is running a filling station, I believe, in Cumberland, somewhere around there. So that just goes to show you that the Klan is still alive, and they are still recruiting, because I have gone to Charleston, West Virginia 2 or 3 times and spoke at anti-Klan rallies at the Capitol there. I remember once I had gone there and I spoke in the Episcopal Church there in Charleston, West Virginia. And the next time I'd gone there, I spoke at the Capitol, and they had some controversy about whether we could go in the Capitol and have the meeting. And some said, well, J. Rockefeller won't allow us in. I said, the building, I said, now I don't live here now. I used to live. I said, I live in Kentucky. I said, but now this building don't belong to J. Rockefeller. This building belonged to you all. I mean, it belonged to the people, you know. I said, in other words, I said, J. Rockefeller didn't elect you all. You know, I mean, you all elected him, and he is to serve you all. I said, now if it was me, and I lived here, I said, I would go into the Capitol, and I wouldn't be fearful of J. Rockefeller or nobody else. I said, because my wife and I, and other United Mine workers, we went into, we marched on Frankfurt. I said, and they said that we couldn't carry our banners inside. And I said, who says so? Because my wife had one, and I said, I told her, I said, you give me yours. And I said to the individual who was talking to us, I said, whose building is this? And he tells me that, I said, what building is this? And he said, this is the state capitol. And I said, yeah. I said, okay, then I said, who does it belong to? He said, it belongs to the government. I was saying, who is the government? He said, the people. He didn't want, I said, well, say it like the people. I said, well, all right, then this building belongs to us. And you mean to tell me that you could come in my house and tell me what I can't do in it, and I'm paying the rent and the lights and the water? I said, and you said it belongs to the people. All right, then if it belongs to the people, then we're not in violation, and then we're going to carry our signs in here too. And so, you know, the crowd, they went mad, you know, and they seen that they wasn't breaking no laws, because the government is made up by the people and for the people. And this is what I'm saying, and that's why I spoke. Not that I was going to stir up trouble everywhere I've gone, but I'm just in opposition to unfair play. That's all. And I'm still in opposition to it.
Are you a pastor now at any church?
I pastor a small church up in Everett, Kentucky, but it's not active now. Since I've left, they have started tearing the church up. And I told the people back there that I couldn't get there regular,
Yeah.
and they just said, come when you can.
Nice. Do you go back home very much?
Well, I haven't been back in quite a while. I'm associated with Shiloh Baptist Church here in Lexington, and now Reverend George Childs is my pastor.
If this isn't too personal a question, why
Yeah.
did you decide to leave Harlan?
Yeah, I was renting a house in Harlan from a lady called Mag Bailey. And well, there I had done a lot of work on the house. I don't know, about over, I guess, $5,000 worth of work, and fixing it where I put about 5 rooms in upstairs, put expensive and magnolias on the floor, and water would get in the basement. And I went to her and I asked her if she would let me put a pump in to pump the water out, and she said yes. And because that's down there where I kept my stoker coal. And blacks, and I don't think she approved of that. And this was her house. This was her water. And I was pumping it out. And I was doing what she was supposed to do. And all who ever lived in the house, besides paying her rent, she dictated to them. But I told her, you can't dictate to me as to who come to my house and who don't come. And so naturally, I wasn't going to beg her to live in her house. So this is why I'm here now. And then I was threatened by a Klan. Me and my wife fought Klan single-handed there in Everest, Kentucky. We even boycotted one of Mac's grocery stores. And for a while, the blacks wouldn't trade, but finally they, being few in numbers, they could get credit and they drifted back. And the reason we boycotted it is a fellow was hired there, was an ex-school teacher who was the head of the Ku Klux Klan in Harlan County, Philip Ball. He was teaching our children, and we told the school board we wouldn't have it. So Max, they being rich, I knew when those boys was children, and they hired him because they were friends. His father and Philip Ball's father, they were partners once in a little old grocery store right out there in town, and that's where they got started. And they figured they was obligated to give him a job. And finally, he got killed. And we told the United Mine Workers they shouldn't trade there, but some of them did, because and then that's the time that Arnold Miller come out and said that if you were United Mine Workers, you couldn't belong to the Klan. But see, he didn't have no control over that, because now I don't have no proof, but I believe, I can't prove it, and I'm not calling nobody's name, but I believe that the Klan reached into the White House. That's just the way, that's how strongly I feel about it, because you never know who is what. And, would you say something? Yeah. Because of some of the activities that have gone on around, the assassination of Martin Luther King and the Kennedy brothers and Vernon Jordan and Medgar Evers and anybody else that speak well for blacks, they always seemingly to be eliminated. And that's my version of it, and I guess there's many more things that I could recall, because I've seen many men beaten by gun thugs, and you were fearful to say anything about it, because if you did, they would whip you. I've seen them make my uncle pull his britches down once and whip him right in the open street, gun thugs. So you can see why United Mine Workers was needed, because when that come about, United Mine Workers, as the shoe was on the other foot, we began to fight one another, and therefore you had some protection. And but it seemed like to me it's working back to the same thing, because everything they can do, they seem to try to suppress the miner. But the black man now, the only trouble he have now in the coal field is trying to get one of those good paying jobs. And as I said, in order to further hurt the United Mine Workers, the Southern Labor Union is trying to be partial. They will hire blacks more so than at the United Mine Workers mines. I think there must be an understanding somehow or another, to make the Southern Labor Union think that they're more partial to blacks than United Mine Workers is. Because, if you run a corporation and then it's United Mine Workers, you hire who you want to. And you understand what I'm talking about, because like Eastover, they uh, they have some parts of the ears is the Southern labor. If they want to hire blacks, they hire blacks. They want to hire white, they hire white. So I mean, it's a tough struggle for blacks still in the mountains, and it's a tough struggle for them around here too. Yeah.
What is it true in the mines? Is pretty much anywhere else that blacks are the last hired and the first fired? You think are first to be laid off when things go get bad?
That's true. That's the way that had been the ratio all the while. Like I said, they had to work the worst places such as water and bad top and any of the along about in the early 30s. If there were some shift work, there was a few black token. Maybe one would run motor, and if he had anything to do with working on the motor, would pull the coal, he was a brakeman. So, but in the deck where he operated, there was more or less a white man. But in West Virginia, it seemed to have been, at Gary, where I'd gone to, it seemed to have been a reverse. Now, make a point. The blacks were more or less working shift work.